If you know me, you know that I've been very excited for this launch at Sephora. I tried a few bits and baubles from Lady Gaga's brand, Haus Laboratories, when it first launched, and then I kind of like dwindled off. And then when they announced the rebrand and that they were going to Sephora and then everything went 50% off, of course my like little sale catcher's heart went aflutter and I bought a ton on Amazon and did a haul and fell madly in love with quite a few things. By the way, I'll have that video linked down below if you do want to check that one out, but I was really excited to try a few of the things from the rebrand. And by a few, I mean basically everything. I think I only didn't get one type of item. We'll get into that in a second, but of course, Lady Gaga's brand Haus Labs is now at Sephora, and it's really being touted as a clean brand that's also vegan and cruelty-free. I will say that the brand has always been cruelty-free and a lot of items were actually vegan, but they've done some replacement, some reformulating, and some products haven't come back yet. So we're gonna get into this. I will say that since I have so many items, this might be a lengthy video, but I will have everything timestamped down below so that you can jump around, see what you would like to see, and skip anything that isn't for you. I really want to make this video valuable for you. And speaking of value, I am hoping that you do find this really helpful because I have taken the time over the last week and a half, I think about a week and a half now, to really try these products multiple times. They took a hot minute to get to me in shipping, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm not gonna be that first person to get up an initial, like, first impression, trying things on, and that's okay, because with this, you know, this isn't like just one eyeshadow palette. If I try an eyeshadow palette once, I feel like I'm gonna know just from working with it once, like how I like the formulas. But this is so many products and things that are a little bit different, and I really wanted to give them some time. So I hope that my journey with all these products helps you either save some money or spend the money on the things that you're really going to enjoy. And I will say, I have a few things that I really love and a few things that I'm really disappointed in. So we're gonna get into all of that. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So I have some pictures from applications that I did a few days ago. I have some footage of me putting on this makeup today. And I have some footage of some swatches, some comparisons, because I've already filmed this video today and my mic wasn't working. So I'm redoing this, so you will see clips of me probably like chattering on about the swatches, but I just decided to keep that footage in here. I did really want to give you some great comparison swatches, talk to you a little bit, especially when it comes to these babies, the high power pigment paints. Now, if you are not new to my channel, you will know that I am a lover of all cream makeup. And I really love cream eyeshadows, especially the Danessa Myricks Color Fix. So I was very, very excited to try these out. I will be comparing these to, of course, the Danessa Myricks, but also some other shadow favorites that I have. We'll be doing lots of swatches, lots of comparisons. I have some price breakdowns that might surprise you. So we're gonna get into all of that right now, but like I said, timestamps down below. And if you appreciate a good, thorough, honest review, give this video a like. All right, so we are gonna just go in the order in which I applied my makeup today, and I will insert an overlay of me trying those things on so that you can see. So the only product that I did not pick up from this launch really is the brow pencil. I just didn't find a need. I did try the previous brow pencil and it was okay. I just didn't feel the need to try this one. So that's the only thing that isn't Haus Labs on my face right now, other than, of course, foundation, concealer. Everything else is Haus. So the first thing I went in with today was the bronzer, and this is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. I do have two shades here. By the way, here is what all of the packaging looks like. It really looks to be like, I don't know if it is recycled cardboard, but it does look to be like recycled paper, and it is recyclable. And then you do have the little like accent splash denoting the color of the product that you're getting. So let's talk about the packaging of this bronzer before we get in. Now I have to say, it's definitely like a luxe upgrade from what the bronzer was before. Actually, let me just go ahead and pull that out. I do some comparison swatches with these. I do have two of the shades of the Heat Spell bronzer. So this is what this was before. It did have a highlighter in it as well, but here we have this. I mean, it's definitely a little bit more luxe. I like both. I actually like the vibe of both, but this, you know, it just has that little bit more bougie feel. You do have a mirror and you have the Haus logo right here. Now, the only thing that I will say is this has like this semi-rubbery, like a little bit like the outside of like the NARS packaging, but almost even like more rubbery or a little bit more plasticky feeling. The only thing is, I don't know if you will be able to see it here. Maybe it will pick it up. So if you can see this little like dark marking, and that was just from, I think, it rubbing against the black inside of the packaging here, which is kind of a bummer. And it really makes me wonder, like, if this just happens sitting in the box, if I take this traveling, if I pop it in my makeup kit, like, is this gonna start looking like hot garbage in a little while? I don't know. That's the thing, like packaging, whether it's like shiny and you get fingerprints all over it, or it's more this velvety feel and gets marked up, it just happens. What matters is the fact that the inside of this is freaking gorgeous. The product is amazing, hands down. If you are looking for a new bronzer, I'm just gonna cut to the chase right now and say this is one that I totally recommend. So I was super excited to try the new highlighters, because if you saw the video where I tried out a bunch of the Casa Gaga items, there was that like gelée formula of that like beautiful Luce del Sol highlighter. And so I was like, ooh yeah, the new one is a gelée formula. I'm really excited to try that. This doesn't say anything about being a gelée. I don't really think it is, but what it is like, I mean, I just don't know how to explain it. It's almost like a creamy powder. Yep, I'm gonna say like, actually almost a little bit like that Natasha Denona creamy matte feel, but this has a bit of a satin quality to it, and it really does. It feels almost like it has a bit of like a velvety primer to it. I love the satin finish. I'm gonna put up the initial swatches here of the two shades that I have. I did get medium level 6 and medium level 5. So I was most excited for medium level 5 because it has this beautiful rosy undertone. And you can probably see here, let me put these out side by side actually before I put the swatches up so that you can see here in the pan. So this has that beautiful like rosy tone, whereas this has more of like a golden feel to it. There, that's probably better for you. I was super excited because in the summer, I love the look of like that slightly sunburnt, kind of almost like bronzer, you know what I'm saying? Like that like rosy sun-kissed cheek. That is the bronzer that I have on today. I did not use this one. I was gonna do a side-by-side, but I just love this one so much that I just had to use it everywhere. I will have a picture showing you the other bronzer though. So why did I get two? That's what I'm asking myself. I did not need both of these because I definitely have something similar to this shade in my collection, but I just couldn't help myself. So I'm gonna show you now the swatches of these two. You can definitely see that medium 5 has that rosy undertone. Medium 6 is listed as a cool golden undertone, and to be honest, for me, it is a little bit too warm. I really like a neutral bronzer. I don't, well, obviously I like a rosy bronzer in the summer, but like if it's not that like summertime vibe, I really want something that's more like neutral. Just because I find that like golden, it can just start to get a little too warm looking on the skin. So this maybe wouldn't be like, this shade number 6 isn't like my total jam. The formula is beautiful. The color is not personally my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I will be honest, come fall to winter, if I miraculously happen to use up a bronzer, or like there's something in my collection that I've just had to declutter so much of that I need a bronzer, hands down, I will be picking up the neutral shade in the like light. I think it's like actually like shade 4 or shade 3. I will definitely be getting that, but I don't need it right now at full price, so I would probably just wait until the next Sephora sale, or if the brand does a great deal on their website. So now I just wanted to give you the swatch comparison of me showing my two heat spell bronzers. So I had Desert and Dawn and Kindle and Ember. So I'm just gonna pop those up. So I would say that Desert, that's the one right here, it does have, I mean, almost like a slightly more beigey undertone, but it's not nearly as pigmented. Like the new bronzers definitely have a lot more saturated tone, but the consistency of them is so nice that they're blendable, they're buildable. You don't have to worry about starting up with too much pigment, in my opinion. Now, the Kindle shade is technically deeper than the new shade that I got, the warm shade. It's deeper, but there isn't as much saturation there, if that makes any sense. So you can see them here. Now, if you want to see more bronzer comparisons, there's just so many comparisons in this video. If you want to see more, let me know and I can post a pic on Instagram, no problem. And also, I do have to say that I think that the brand did an amazing job with the shade selection. I mean, I personally think you have something for everybody, whether you are fair or the deepest of deep. So I'm really excited to see that. So definitely A++, total recommend from me. These bronzers are gorgeous. They are $38, which, you know, I mean, that's not inexpensive. It's not like the most high end I've ever seen, but it's not cheap. The one thing I will say though is, you know, with this, you have a highlight and a bronzer. And I did find, like with the Kindle and Ember pair, that Ember highlighter is something I will never use. So at least this way I'm getting my money's worth in a shade that I want and that I picked out for myself. So I can do the highlighter and the bronzer separate. So really the value is there for me because in this, the net weight is 12 grams in the new one and the total in the previous one is 11 grams. So that means that, you know, approximately 5.5 grams of this in that other palette that I have is probably not going to be used that much other than maybe for an eyeshadow. So definitely going to get my money's worth out of those bronzers. Now let's talk about the highlighters, which are even more expensive. So the highlighters are $40. These are the Bio Radiant Gel Powder Highlighters. So I tried earlier and I could not get this to show very well. It is like this slightly holographic, like white with a pink and almost like pinky teal green flip to it. Am I going to be able to get it to show? Probably not. Anyway, it's gorgeous. You'll have to see it for yourself. So I did pick up 2 shades. Yeah, if you know me, I'm not a huge powder highlight wearer. I love wearing my creams, but I loved that Casa Gaga highlighter so much. So here are the 2 shades that I have. I have Peach Quartz and I also have Pink Amethyst. I'm gonna actually turn my lighting down just a smidge to show you here. There we go. So this is Peach Quartz and we have Pink Amethyst right here. So you can see in the pan, there's definitely a difference. And honestly, at first when I opened this one, I was like, oh no, I think they sent me the wrong shade. I will say it was really hard to pick out what I wanted to get online. I was really hoping that my Sephora would have Haus Labs in store, but they don't. I think they're only at like maybe 20 Sephora stores, like that's it. So that was pretty disappointing, I will say. I'm really hoping at some point that they're all in store, but I was doing my best and I saw that like this was sort of like a pinky shade and a little bit more like Bam, and I was like, well, why not? And then I mean, anything peachy, you know I'm going to grab. So I'm gonna pop up the swatches of these 2 shades. And when I did the swatches of those 2, I also added one of this Luce del Sol. This is the, what did they call this? The Tutti Gel Powder Highlighter. So this, oh, the formula on this was just so beautiful, so creamy, so like buttery, just juicy. I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't think that this formula is the same formula. Like the consistency, yes, the like beautiful sheer base, sure. But you can see in the swatch that the new ones have a bit more fleck and shimmer to them. Like they have a bit more of a metallic vibe to them. They're not that like wet skin, sun goddess, juicy look. They're more like, even the subtle ones are more like, hey, I'm wearing a highlighter, just because of that like metallicness to it. Is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily. It just really depends on your vibe and what you want to see. I do think that the brand says that they sort of have like everything from like subtle to like really extreme. I don't know if both of these were considered as subtle. I do think that like the flip on the Pink Amethyst, you know, really makes it like more unique. However, right away when I swatched this, I was like, gah, I duped my own collection. I mean, right away. The first time I touched Pink Amethyst and swatched it, I was like, oh no, I bet on the skin this is gonna look really similar to these. The Solmana 2 collection, these are the Moonlight Feel highlighters. So I have the shades Rose Sky and Pink Star. I will show you these swatched next to Pink Amethyst. The base is different because you do obviously have this like ambery base. So the base is definitely different, but on the skin, I don't think that the base shows up that much, especially if you are like my skin or deeper. I don't really think it's gonna show up that much. If you're more fair than me, it will probably show up with like a warmer base. I just don't know that it's different enough to like make it unique in my collection, if that makes sense. Like I right now, I will show you the application of me applying just this shade, the Pink Amethyst. Right now I have them mixed because I ended up putting one on each side and then wanted to balance it out. You know how it goes. So it's beautiful. It is definitely, I'm wearing highlighter. It's also what I have on my inner corner, but at this point I've had this makeup on for like 4 or 5 hours. I've been running around sweating. It's on my cheeks, it's still there. It's still a little there on the inner corner too, but I'm glad that I have this footage to show you at any rate. So it's definitely a, I'm wearing highlighter. But you'd have to imagine something that's like, has this pink reflect is going to look like that. Nobody has like pink shiny skin. So for the Peach Quartz highlight, I knew that this was not necessarily gonna be a shockingly unique highlighter. I was hoping that it would be unique enough in my collection, but when I got it, the first thing that I thought about was this Jessica Rabbit collection highlighter from Ciate London. This is Roger Darling, and they are close-ish. The Peach Quartz is definitely more peachy, and again, it's more metallic-y. Like I think that that's what I keep wanting to drive home, is that these definitely look a little bit more metallic. They're not like that subtle on the skin. Peach Quartz is definitely more subtle than Pink Amethyst, but it still has that metallic vibe, and it still has like glitters. It has small, tiny microflecks. Like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't use the G word. More like sparkle, a little bit of shimmer. Now, the other one that I thought it was really interesting to compare to is the one in here. This is the highlight in Dawn. So not quite the same at all, but you can really see again how the highlighter in here in the old compact compares to the new highlight. You can just see how it's not that like smooth feel, they're just more metallic. I'm not gonna say that word anymore. In fact, I'm done on these. So at $40, it hurts just a little bit. They're beautiful. I love the packaging. I think it's like elegant, but also still kind of fun. And that's the thing. Can I just take a side note here? Like a lot of people, I've watched a few different reviews on this. A lot of people were like, I don't understand. Like, I never understood this brand before. I didn't think it really screamed Lady Gaga. Like, meh. And I'm like, I really think that it did. I thought that she was doing a good balance between edgy and also glam. Like if you look at Lady Gaga, she sometimes has that Hollywood starlet vibe, or she has like super funky alternative, you know? So it's like, I think that they were doing a really good job juxtaposing all of those fashion looks. So I think that like just the vibe of the packaging is a little bit more elevated, but no more or less Lady Gaga inspired to me. But anyway, so the highlight, I like them. If you like a more metallic highlight, if you are okay with something that has a little bit of sheen, you will probably like these. I really wish that I had had the opportunity to swatch them so that I could really pick something unique to my collection. I'm hoping that the brand is in store at some point. I'm really hoping that they're so successful that of course they have this like huge thing in every store. Like I'd love that. I'm really considering exchanging Pink Amethyst for a different shade. I just want to see more swatches. So that was one bummer, but that's just what happens. Like if you don't have things in store for people to swatch. So anyway, definitely like enjoyed the highlight. I don't think it's like the star item for me. I really wish that it had the same formula as the Casa Gaga. Like give me the creamy, glowy goodness. You can keep the shimmer. All right, now what you've probably all been waiting for. Let's talk about these little babies, these bright little babies, these high power pigment paints. Yes, high power pigment paints. So I got 2 mattes and I also got 2 shimmers. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the mattes. My goal in getting these, I really wanted to try to get shades that I don't have in my color fix because that would just be kind of silly. It would be great for like swatch comparisons, but it would be a little bit silly. So I was excited to see that this shade, the Citrine Matte, is more of like a bright, almost like white based yellow, whereas the Danessa Myricks primary yellow really honestly to me isn't a primary yellow. It's a little bit like mustardy looking. It's a beautiful shade. I love it, but this is more of like a bright yellow. Then we have the Blush Matte. This is that kind of like blushy basic shade. I just thought that this would be really great to be able to have as like a one and done lid and crease shade to blow out and then pop something fun and shimmery over the top, whether that's another cream shadow or like a fun single that I have, you know, something like with some beautiful shift to it. I thought that would be great. And I know that these are also able to be used on the lip and cheek, so I thought that this might make a good blush. Okay, so let's take a look at the swatches here. You can see that these are very matte, which obviously they're mattes, but these to me look very powdery. Like they dry down to honestly look like a nice powder eyeshadow. Granted, a powder eyeshadow that is going to stay put all day. These really do have amazing wear time. I'm going to say that right now. Like, I have worn these for 10 hours and had zero creasing, no problems. Right now, what did I say we're at about like 5 hours in? Yeah. So again, no creasing whatsoever, but they just have a drier look. So for instance, let's take a look at me applying this today. I mixed these two in equal parts and created almost like a creamsicle shade, a really fun shade. I really do enjoy it. It's lasting well. And these blend really easily. I think it was Morgan Turner, and she was kind of saying like, oh, these are a little bit hard because they dry really fast. I personally didn't find that to be the case. I actually find that these do have a little bit more working time, and maybe it's because they aren't quite so saturated in color that they're easier to blend out. These don't have as much saturation as the Danessa Myricks Color Fix. I'll just tell you that right now. I'll be showing you a swatch right here. I'll show you the swatch of Primary Yellow in the middle. So you can see that the Danessa Myricks are much more saturated in pigment. They also have a bit different of a finish. Both are matte, but there's just something, and if you've ever worn a Color Fix, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like there's something almost like liquid latexy feeling to those shades. So they don't have a powdery look to them, whereas these, in my opinion, do have a powdery look. So I do think that they can be built up a bit with a caveat, with a bit of a caveat. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the shimmer shade. So I got the shade Rose Gold Shimmer and Burgundy Shimmer. I was super excited for this one because I didn't think that I had anything like this in my cream shadow collection. I definitely have shades that are kind of similar to this, as you'll see when we get into the comparison swatches, but you can see the two right here. The Rose Gold Shimmer is, you know, a beautiful kind of like taupey rose gold with silver flecks in it. I'm not going to say the G word, but it definitely has some sparkle to it. This burgundy shade is much more like fine, and the day that I was doing like a wear test on my hand, I just did like a huge swatch of it, and it really almost had like a little duochromy shift to it, you know, like a little bit like copper burgundy with like some pink shimmer to it. I'm not going to say like sparkle, and I'm not going to say it's like super duochrome, but it had like just that little bit. So very nice in swatching. Okay, so let's take a look at the first picture that I want to show you. So this is like nothing fancy. This is just me like chilling in my car. little seatbelt selfie for you. But you can see here I used the blush shade and just put that all over the lid, and then I used a little tiny bit of the rose gold shade like dabbed over the top, like almost in the center, and I didn't really see much of a difference. The only difference that I actually kind of saw was the fact that I thought that it was like pulling up the color underneath. I thought that it was like taking away a bit of this blush matte shade. And I was like, okay, is that just because the base of this one is like a little bit more neutral? But I really do think that it was like almost like disturbing that. And I had let it completely dry. It also just wasn't very shimmery looking. It just wasn't very shimmery looking. So you can also see here, by the way, I'm wearing one of the pencils, the pencil in the Sage Matte. So this is also, by the way, the rosy bronzer, so that you can kind of like get a vibe for that. So then let's take a look here at the second look that I did. So this is with the yellow blown out all over the lid. And then I decided to like try and use a bit more of the rose gold. Like I was like, okay, maybe I just didn't get enough on. And again, when I laid it down, I definitely felt like it disturbed the yellow that was underneath. And I also didn't think that it was very shiny. It wasn't very sheeny. Like that color that is on the inside there, that is actually Peach Gleam. That's the other highlighter, which I think I actually am wearing in this as well. You just can't see it very much. But it just isn't very shiny. I put it like partway, like probably halfway across the lid, and I almost wished that I hadn't done that. I liked it better when it was just the yellow. Okay, so let's talk about today's look, because this was the first time I've actually used the burgundy shimmer. So it's what I have on right now, and you can see in the application footage, I was highly disappointed in this. Like, I put 2 layers, probably even 3 layers on. In fact, you know what? Right now, just to give this another chance, I'm gonna try, no, I'm not. No, I'm not, and I'll tell you why. I was gonna say I'm gonna put more of it on, but I'm not, because I put 2, almost 3 layers down with a brush. The first layer, I like blend it out a little bit more, which I get can kind of like lower the sheen. And then the second layer, I was trying to like build up the metal feel. But boy, you touch it very much at all, and it just kind of like goes away. The other thing is that when I went to go put on a little bit of liner, I used the Haus Labs liquid liner. This is the liquid eyeliner in Whiskey, the brown shade. Immediately, when I went like this, it went, I'm like, ah! My lid skin close to my lash had just changed in texture, like almost shrinky dinked. So, wow, that's like aging me. Does anybody even know what a shrinky dink is anymore? So I just couldn't get a smooth application on both eyes. So then I actually had to go through with a powder to like give it just a little bit of like a smoky edge, because it was so like wrinkly and crinkly. So I'm 41. I have like normal to dry eyelids. I guess I probably should have said that at the beginning of this. I have normal to dry skin. Like in the winter, it's dry, dry, dry. Everything is dry. Right now, I would say that I'm actually more like normal, just because of the weather, the humidity, all of that. So maybe it's just my eyelid skin, but like, wow. I was like, okay, note to self, I can't really build these up a lot. That's not necessarily unexpected when you're working with high foil, high shimmer products, but that's not what this is. That is not what this is. So let's compare here. I'm gonna show you the swatches that I have. The first product that's down next to these two is the original cream shadow from this brand. So this is the Glam Attack Liquid Shadow in Aphrodite. Definitely a thinner feel, definitely not as impactful by any means. And then the other one that I wanted to compare to the rose gold shade is Ballerina from Color Fix. So this is a cream product. So Danessa Myricks has her matte shades, she has her creams, which are more like shimmer, and then she has the foils, which are like more high intensity, also honestly have like little chunks of glitter, and then like, I think they're called the metals or the metallics. So the further up you go, the more texture you're going to see on your lids. So that's just kind of always the case, but I really don't find with these creams that I get a lot of texture. Now, from the foils and the metals, because of honestly the consistency of them, but also because they dry down very, very fast, you do tend to get a bit more texture on the lid if you use too much and if you don't blend it out quick enough. So that I will say. But I just didn't get any ba-bam from these. Then we can take a look at the shade that is next to the burgundy, and then let's take a look at the swatch that's next to that burgundy shade. That is the Sydney Grace Cream Shadow in Warm Weather. So not really like a shade dupe. I mean, kind of close-ish, but not really a shade dupe. But the formula, this formula is so, so nice. Now, I personally find these to be long-wearing. I know that some people maybe don't as much, but on my eyelids, they are super long-wearing. They last all day long, and a little goes a very long way. So I would prefer these over these hands down. Also, let's just talk a little bit about the pricing, because I think you might be surprised on how these price. Okay, so the high power pigment paints are $24, and when you break it down of cost per gram, so how much you get in that tube, this product is $3.43 a gram. So then let's look at the Color Fix. They are $18, and broken down, it is $1.80 a gram. So almost half the price of the Haus Labs ones. Yeah, you think that's bad? Let's take a look at this. The Sydney Grace ones, this big Mamma Jamba is $8. $8, and it breaks down to 80 cents a gram. I know. So just keep that in mind. Now, there are different formulas for different folks, and also just keep in mind that like my opinion, my review of this isn't like the end all be all. Obviously, everybody has different preferences. I've talked to friends who really enjoy these high power pigment paints more than I do. I will say I enjoy this yellow shade. I like the fact that it's a little lighter and brighter than the Color Fix, but honestly, the rest of these I'm really disappointed in. I am bummed. I'm very bummed. I definitely won't be purchasing any more of these. I just won't, because I think to get the saturation of color that I'm looking for, in certain cases, I'd have to use more than one layer, and I feel like they pull each other up. Like, I feel like they start to pull up if you're trying to layer. Also, I do have to say, I did a look with this blush matte as the base, and then I was just using some Divina, like, beautiful iridescent shimmers over the top, and I just wet them with a brush. I wet them with Fix Plus, and when I pulled the brush away, I could see some of this on the brush. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there are like emulsifiers, like ingredients in here that would like disturb that a little bit. But I don't have that. I don't have that happen when I use Color Fix. So that's just kind of a bummer, because that means that I'm really probably not going to use these as a base. It wasn't that big of a deal, but if you're using something very different in tone, you might find that it starts to get muddied up if your brush is damp and it starts displacing that base color. So that's one thing. That's kind of a bummer. Also, because these are so matte, I definitely wouldn't use them on my cheeks at all, because I don't want that like powdery look. I use Color Fix, and I'm sorry I keep like comparing it to that, but I do use the Color Fix mixed with other products to make cheek colors. I just wouldn't do that with these because they are so powdery looking. And of course, I mean, I'm not like a huge like super matte lip wearer, so that's not something I intended to do anyway. I will say that this, whatever I had left on my brush from like putting it on my lid, I did run a little bit of that over my lips, which you can see here. I didn't mind it, actually. It just gave a little bit of pigment and a little bit of sheen, but it did have that traditional liquid lipstick feel where it's like, you know, kind of like your lips stick together a little bit, like almost like drying paint. And it did last a while, but I did top it with the PhD lip oil, which I'm gonna get into in a second. So all that being said, I'm pretty disappointed in these high power pigment paints. That's my take on it. Okay, so let's get back into a product that I do really like. Since I was just mentioning it, let's talk about the PhD lip oil. So from what I can tell, the only thing that has changed in the rebranding is the packaging. The cap is now like silver. It does look to be the same dough applicator, which I actually do really like. It's sort of like this like fat, kind of like squashed applicator. I have this in 2 shades. I have this one, which is secondary, and I can't remember what the other one is. Let me look right now. Shoot. Okay, I think it's the shade Tint. I don't think it's Hue. I think it's the shade Tint, and I really like that one. It does have a bit more color to it because just the like product itself has more color. These are supposed to be that like color changing, you know, when you put them on, it gets warm and it like changes color. They don't have the reddish one anymore, so they have a clear. They have Hue, which is a sheer berry, and then they have the Tint, which is a sheer pink, and then this one, which is a sheer orange. So honestly, here's the thing. If you want to try one of these, definitely do it. Like, I love mine. I really do enjoy them. I'm actually considering going to Amazon. I'm considering going to Amazon and getting some of the old packaging because I really like them. They wear off nicely. They don't wear a really long time because, hello, they're a lip oil, but they have this beautiful feel that's sort of like somewhere between an oil and a balm and a gloss. Yeah, it's a great formula. I really do enjoy these. So that's, again, an A++ product. But for me, I don't need the new packaging. Like, I could care less. I'd rather get them for $12 rather than $24. I mean, $24 for this is a lot of money. I honestly don't think that I would pay full price. and I didn't, and I'm glad about that. But I love them. I just don't think for a lip oil that I would pay full price. Also, I have this horrible habit of like losing things. I have a horrible habit of putting lip products somewhere and never finding them again. So I really don't want that many that are pricey. Okay, let's fall back into the eye makeup because I want to talk about the Haus Labs Optic Intensity Eco Eyeliners. So I mostly got these for the waterline. I will say the, what were they called? Identity liners, the cream gel liners from Haus before. I really enjoyed those. I got a few on Amazon and I really, really liked them. They stayed in my waterline. They're super creamy. Really enjoy them. Come in a ton of different colors. So these right now don't have quite as many colors as what the brand did originally, but they do have some really fun ones. So I have the shade Sage Matte and also Chartreuse Matte. I'm gonna draw these out here for you. They did not have either of these shades in the original lineup. I really appreciate some of the fun new shades. I was really looking forward to being able to try these, especially like I said, as waterline liners. So here you have the Chartreuse shade, so fun, and then this is the Sage shade, which I think sage is kind of off. Like to me, this is actually more of like a teal or like, yeah, it's more of like a teal. It's not even like minty. Okay, we're gonna start with the positives. I'm sorry I'm not wearing one of these today. It just ended up not really going with the vibe. I probably could have put this Chartreuse on, but I have pictures to show you. You saw the Sage one already. I'll be showing you the Chartreuse one in a moment, but these last incredibly long if you have them on the skin. Like, I had it on my lower lash line in the picture you're about to see for a very long time, and it didn't go anywhere. And even with using like a makeup remover, it still didn't want to go anywhere. These are very long lasting on the skin. So I think if you're using them on your lash line, if you're using them to like blow out as a base, I think you could probably do that as well. They might crease a little bit in the lid, but they're really long lasting. Also, I have to say that the little like, you know, thingamajig here, the brush, this would be great if you want to like push out a wing, like if you want to stretch that out. It isn't really great for anything else though. Like maybe if you want to like pull some color out this way, but like to be able to blend and blur, this ain't gonna happen. Like it is just way too thin. It's too sharp. It doesn't work to like blend and smoke out. The other thing, and the thing that's most disappointing for me, is these on me did not last on my waterline at all. Like not even 2 hours. Honestly, I don't even think they lasted an hour, but I'm gonna say not even 2 hours. The first day I wore one and I checked in like a couple hours later and I was like, it's gone already? I was like, that can't be right. Maybe I didn't put as much on as I thought I did. So the next day I used the same color, same thing. Like it would be stuck basically in my lashes, close to my lash line, but like in my actual waterline, it was gone. It was gone. And both shades did that to me. Now, I don't know if it makes a difference that these are both like white-based liners. Sometimes that can be a problem, but usually it's like they have a problem applying, not necessarily staying. That wasn't a problem. They went on really nicely. So I actually have this Odenzai Solman gel liner. So this is the shade number 4. I think this one was called Mint. It's sort of like a lighter, you know, a little bit more pastel-y version of this shade. So this, I did have to put 2 layers down to get like full saturated color, but it lasted all day. And these are like $8. And these are, I think, 22. So for me, these are a no-go. I love this Chartreuse shade. I'm definitely excited to have this because it's hard to find that like funky green. I really like this on the lash line, but on the waterline, no. Nope, it's a no for me, dog. So that's really disappointing because for 22 bucks, I might as well just go get the Urban Decay 24/7 liners that we all know and love. I really have good luck with those. So that's probably what I would do in the future, unless there's a color that I really want for my lash line. I didn't get any of the shimmer shades just because I have so many shimmery eyeliners. I did not need anything. I just really wanted a great waterline liner, and this isn't it for me. So let's talk about, is this the last product? Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the Le Monster Lip Crayon 2.0. So I think that this is a product that a lot of people enjoyed in the Haus Labs first launch. I never got one because I'm not really a matte lip wearer, as you may know. But I was just so curious. I will say that I was just so drawn in by this color, but to me, the color on the website looks more like a pinky red, whereas this is definitely like hot pink. Like, oh my gosh, these three colors together just give me like early 90s vibes. So it's definitely that like hot pink. It's super comfortable to put on. I will show you the picture here of me wearing it. By the way, this is the picture in which I'm wearing the chartreuse liner on the lower lash line, and I think in the waterline. I took this picture at home because honestly, by the time I got to work, it probably would have been out of the waterline anyway. But I loved this look. I loved the lip look. It was matte and not the most flattering lip color on me. Like, matte lip colors are, personally, in my opinion, never going to be the most flattering, but it was cute. It was fun. I really enjoyed the vibe. I do wish it was a bit more tinged red. I will also say it was very comfortable to apply. Like I said, it was super creamy. It was also very comfortable to wear. I enjoyed the sharpness of this crayon, but there's no sharpener, so that's a bummer because I think this will eventually become rounded off. And honestly, it was so comfortable that I kind of forgot that I was wearing it. And then I got worried because I was like, oh my God, do I have that weird like ring thing where like just the outside is there and then it's worn off the middle of my lips? Because this is not a shade. This is not a My Lips But Better shade by any means, So I was like, oh my God. And it had been, 5 or 6 hours and it still looked pretty good. It had faded a little bit, but it still looked really good. And it had gone through, hours of drinking water, drinking coffee, talking at work. I just never looked to touch it up. And I didn't feel like super dry. I will say the next day, I didn't want to wear another matte lip color. I wanted to wear something with a little bit more hydration, but I didn't feel like it had wreaked havoc on my lips at all. Now, the only thing is when you get lip like pencils or lip crayons like this, you really need to look at how much product you're getting. So let's do that together. So if you have been here on my channel for a while, you will know that basically my favorite matte lipstick of all time is the Lisa Eldridge True Velvet. There's just something about those. They are very matte, but they are very creamy. They're very saturated in pigment. They're lovely, luxurious, so delicious. They're also $31.89 when you take into the conversion rate right now. These are 22 bucks. Great steal, right? Except the Lisa Eldridge ones have 3.5 grams of product in them, making it $9.11 per gram. These ones only have 1.4 grams of product, making it $15.71 a gram, y'all. So that means that you are paying $6.50 more per gram for your lipstick if you buy this over Lisa Eldridge. So this is a little bit more of a luxe experience to me. This is Velvet Beauty, by the way. Like, beautiful, beautiful lipstick. I mean, this is fun. This is fun, but this is not going to stay sharp forever. This has way more product in it. I do really love that they have pictures on several different people with different lip shades, like with different natural lip tone, with different skin tones, because that really helps. That makes such a difference in a lipstick. So I really love that. I really do enjoy that. But when I got this shade, I was like, this isn't quite what I thought I was getting. So it's a pretty shade. I'll enjoy wearing it. It'll be fun this summer. I don't see myself picking any more of these up, but I don't hate them. So if you love a matte lipstick, if you want something that's a little bit more slim to work with, if you want to even try using this as a lip pencil, I think that would work really great. And that probably breaks down to a much better cost per gram than like your average lip pencil. So that is my thoughts on that. And I guess that's really my thoughts on everything. So of course, this is like the initial launch from this brand. I'm expecting that we will see more things in the future. I am very surprised that they did not come out with the liquid eyeliner because that is one of their tippity top favorite items. Like, that has to be a fan favorite for sure. I'm assuming that they're struggling with the formulation, trying to get that like clean formula. I'm also kind of surprised that they didn't do any powder eyeshadows, but also, I don't feel like that's something that was like a super big seller for the brand before. So I feel like they need to kind of like assess, they need to formulate, they need to work on things and come out with some great eyeshadows. I would love to see that. I think that that was one thing, I mean, because let's face it, everybody gets excited about eyeshadow palettes. And I feel like that's one thing that like not a lot of people were looking at from the brand before. So I think this was a good curated launch. Obviously, I'm really disappointed in the high power pigment paints, but other than that, I think all of these are pretty good. I'm disappointed that I can't use these in my waterline, but I know that they've really worked well for some other people. So I suggest, like I said, don't take my review for the end all be all. Make sure you look around and look at a couple other reviews, but all in all, I'm excited to see what this brand has in the future. I love the bronzer. And the other products I'm excited that I've gotten to try. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, like I said, don't forget to give it a like. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. If you have tried any of these and you want to chime in with your thoughts also, please leave a comment down below. I appreciate you all so much. It really means so much that you take some time out of your day to spend it with me, and I will see you really soon.